he asked me one that has 2 or 3 of them, and I said, well, it's right genetics, really. It's in the bloodline. You get horses that just have horrible feet, and it passes along. And this would be a wall separation that blew up. Well, we'll be coming back to these, and this is when you get these guys, you're in for a month, really, to get them where you want. You're going to be 3 weeks minimum to get this split where you want before you get back together. And white line disease, we were talking before about that, and that's where your thrush buster, once you can skim around up top, and that thrush buster does not penetrate any farther between the wall and the laminae, that fungus is gone. Oxygen will kill that fungus, but thrush buster oxygen will totally eliminate it. Now, when you put something like this back together, you have to layer that in. You want to put a layer, maybe 1/8 of an inch, just your glue on there, and you know, you obviously you kind of the feel for it. You're not sure exactly how thick it is, but if you put an 1/8 of an inch of a coat of glue on that laminae, and then come back with your second coat, mix with fiberglass, and go over top of it, you'll have no problem. Most guys don't come to these things that stuff shrinks, and they are laying with it. And you got to get it as soon as you take it off, and it sounds like that. Once again, we go wire cut. As you see, you grind it out. There's no live tissue. There's nothing really going on. There's no movement in that crack. These kind of cracks you really wouldn't even have to lace. But you're not, it's cosmetic. There's really nothing going on. One of them will go complete, and it'll be up in the air.
Hey, Dad, just a minute.
Sure.
You know about smoke?
Sorry. No, no problem. Now this crack here, I think I got a closer. You can see this crack here goes up into the hairline, and that's when you want to start stabilizing these things. Right now, the flavor of the month is you don't lace any cracks. I don't know where this came from, but in our world of racing, these guys don't want to stop. A crack like that, when they're sensitive about the cornet band, I'll put in a set of laces, stabilize it. They'll go to the track, you can jog, gallop, like that guy's breathing, and have them race that way. But what ends up happening, they might step on the clip and peel it right off. Or, you know, at some point you come back, take out the wires, relace them, patch them. There's really no downside, and that's all most horse people want to hear. They just want to get to the race. Thin walls, see these? You're looking for a cause. Some of these slides will be duplicate. Here's classic. This is a hind foot turn downs. In the racing world now, everybody's got to have turn downs because some horses want to race with that one. And I mean, they don't get away from it. But in the wintertime, what ends up happening, they're heading, and it only happens usually in the wintertime, we'll see them, because a horse pads are frozen, and they'll be heading to the track and they're just dancing around. Well, there's nothing to support that bulb. You'll see video here, how much these things move. But in that case, that's caused by lack of support. And there's another one that had an old grab. You can see where I got a circle there. There used to be an old grab. You can see the space there where there's nothing at all underneath that bulb. This horse even has a wet shoe on it. And, you know, it's going to crack it. It's no different than a foundation on a house. If you have it settled, it's going to rip up by the roof line. It won't crack down at the bottom where it stretches it, and that's what happens. Out of balance. This is Belmont Park. Whoa. You're talking, somebody's paying a trading bill on this. It's obscene. It really is. But they got them 3/4. You can see.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, here's one that blew an abscess out the top. I've treated this with thrush buster cut with alcohol. If you treat that kind of tissue with straight alcohol or with straight thrush buster, there's a very good chance you'll burn it. And thrush buster, it varies. They get hot batches. I don't know who's quality controlling this stuff. But we've got caught a few times, now I take no chances. Anything that looks like that, we'll hit it with the alcohol mixed with it. A couple of days later, we'll switch over. Now we're going to get into sole pressure. Once again, you see how thin these walls are. But now you're looking down in here, you can see it's a wall separation, starting with the sole and travel up. You got some better cases. Same thing, just nothing there. And the whole shoe sitting on the sole. Another shot of that same one. Here's one that I left the sole intact. It's been 3/4 because it's sore in that corner. In the next picture, I started cutting it out. So now you can see in here, there's a whole pocket, and it travels up the wall, blows up the top. This might be the same foot as the earlier one where you saw the abscess. But you'll push the bulb in, you'll look down and you'll see the tissue. And that'll tell you whether to cut and move forward or let this thing heal up a little more. And some guys just whack them out, you got that, just a raw flesh like a kid who fell down and skinned his knee or something. And that kind of tissue, within a couple hours, you'll have raw flesh. That body's going to react and it'll protect itself. If you put the same thing with the thrush buster and I don't even know if I'd go with that, but you want pressure. If you put pressure on it and tape it on tight, then you won't get proper flesh. But you haven't sped up the process at all. I think they do better with the wall intact and let the solution seep down in there. Just gets in a little closer. You can see the pocket here. I still haven't cut it all out. But you can see the track. It runs right out the end of the wall.
Are these probably caused by the 3/4 shoe?
No, there used to be a shoe there. It's concussion.
Yeah.
All these. And it's interesting. Some horses, you'll see horses that get really nasty corns. You never get a wall separation. And you get other ones that won't have a blemish on them. But there's been, you've got a hemorrhage in there, and it's got to come out once you get an abscess started. It's going to travel to the top. Same thing. And this is typical thin wall horse. You can see that the shoe's sitting inside the wall. He's a real thin wall horse. You can see it on the bottom side. And he's got a little turn down on it. These aren't legal anymore up front. You can't put, they used to put a little turn down in the front. I knew this horse very well. When we had lots of wind, I was starting to glue him. But this is when I first seen him. And it's interesting. It's not a trainer's world, but it should be. If you pick up a foot, if you see that shoe laying on the sole, you think, oh, that's going to be a problem. But they have no clue, most guys. So it's just the way it is. But that's the same picture. You can see that's an old abscess. Been cleaned up well. Now we're talking wear on shoes. We'll get into some interesting slides here. You can just see the wear pattern on the shoe. And as it gets that trench in the shoe, obviously there's more sole pressure. Hasn't the steel sitting on top on the inside. Now here's one that has a turn down on one side. Look at the difference in the heels. I mean, you can obviously concussion really stresses the one side that's jacked up on. And this is a very interesting shoe. On this side over here, the wear pattern is pretty normal, right where the wall should be. On this side, there is no wear, there is no wall. It's your sole that's obviously that can't be the wall wearing on there because the nails are way outside everything. Yeah. So, I mean, these are just home runs. When you see feet like these, you know when you glue them, you're going to look real smart. And this is not rocket science by any stretch. That's that same collapsed back foot. You don't see them that bad, but obviously that horse is never going to heal. They can tell you anything they want. You can put them on any supplement you want. It's not going to change the direction these tubules are growing. And people say, well, this fixes it. No, it will not. We're going to make it comfortable for while he's racing. Our job is to make money, yes.
So it grows heel, but it's on the wrong angle.
Yeah, it just grows forward. So he doesn't grow any heel. He's growing lots of heel, but it's growing in that direction. So you're just never going to see it. So, but it's you can correct them slightly, but it'll never come back. And we were talking about that, figuring how you could correct it, but there's no sense in it because it's going to go right back to that. As soon as you take away that look, if you could straighten it out and give it glue for support and get it going right, as soon as you got rid of it, it's just going to collapse again. They love mud and they love grease. And it just makes it pliable, and that's what happens. And there's the walls. You can see how they're rolled right in on the sole. And that's basically where your shoe would be sitting, which is on your sole. There's kind of a fresh abscess. If I seen something like this, I'd say do them up in animal index first thing for a couple of days, maybe 3 days. And then you start chasing it. Make sure the next picture, you can start looking down in between the wall and the lamp, and that's going to tell you whether to proceed or not. There is no burning on these. You're in for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, no matter what. The reason I took this picture, and we'll get back to it, you can see how you got layers of laminate. Sometimes the laminate isn't perfect, you patch them up, and you have a major blowout because there's something laying in underneath. And this is an interesting case, but it's coming down the line. Once again, that's one of these ugly messes. He was so lame, I'll just trim the edge off that wall, just so you don't have to jam it in the corner. Then I'd usually pack that, I'll take just a mound of Epsom salts, hot water, put it on there, and put a pressure bandage on it, so it's pushing in slightly. Then it just starts, the tissue starts coming around, but it's a long, slow process. It would probably be a week before I go any farther. Here's another one that's kind of gone through the process, but we've healed it up. As you see, I haven't cut nothing out. And then we start taking that wall away. Now you can see how your laminite's healed up. I just nicked it so you got a little bit of blood there. You can see how this laminite looks very healthy, cleaned up. And you can see here how that wall would be jammed in underneath. That's where a lot of the soreness comes from. But this whole thing would clean out. You know, once it starts drying, it just cleans out so perfectly. I'm pretty sure this horse had a scab. It was right here. I've got another picture I can show you later. If you ever see when you're cleaning up a big area and you got a dark spot and you just can't get to the bottom of it, it's a scab. And the only way I've ever found to get rid of them, you take animal index and you're almost trying to promote raw flesh. And you're very flesh and it'll pop it out, and also then the scab that's here will pop off, and then you're back grinding them up slowly. It's a bad deal because, like I say, you're in for 3 weeks, and that's a long time for training. Stand with it, just go crazy. The thoroughbred guy somewhat, you know, he'll wait with himself because he don't see these things.
Don't miss 3 races.
They're happy he's going to come back. You know, standard guys, you know, they just can't handle it. This is a horse. You can see he's blowing an abscess probably. 4 weeks before I saw him, maybe 6 weeks, something like that. Odd quarter crack. You start cutting it out. It's interesting. It's not back at the heel. My guess is stuck with a nail, had a close nail, started an abscess, and it goes up there. When it gets to the top, some pop right through and some migrate both ways. And that's what happened. This had been there so long, all we did was clean it out. I think I dried them up. This horse looked like Socrates. So I was in the Saratoga, we dried it out, I said I'll catch him on the way back, and that's the way it looked. Here's your white line. You see how that glue's still traveling up? We ain't got a whole lot of room to corner that. But you still got to chase. When you see little lines like that, you just want to chase it. Make sure that's gone. Paint them again with thrush buster. When you come back, you'll clean around and it'll go just like this, nice and clean. When you don't have any more of these little fissures running up, you know you've got it all. And then it's a matter, even these can get, they can be somewhat, I guess a little bit punky, a little bit soft. As long as you put that layer on, you can put one layer on, and when you press on it, they'll be fine. They won't feel it at all. And then you come over with your second layer. So that was, like I said, mid-60s, carbide burrs. It's a cutting tool. It's not a sanding tool, it's a cutting tool. Mills are extremely sharp, so you have to be very careful. But you can clean something out so easily. I mean, loop knives, we cut them out. These are the wires. It's a stainless blend. These wires, they're not too soft or they're not too hard. The first ones they had were more stainless, and when they drained, but I've got them now, we can lace up standard burrs and go on. I'll put in a couple sets of standard burrs because you need a little more, just because the tracks are so hard. And generally, these wires will never break. And while they're training, you keep painting, drying them up, tightening them up. The key is not to get caught with infection. They won't remember all the good ones. They will remember the one bad one.
Amen.
That's very good. Here's a drain. You'll see that how I usually don't use them because where I'm at, I'm back and forth. But when you're traveling, you know, if you're flying in somewhere, most of my guys are pretty well know where they're at and crack what they're doing. But if there is a little bit of serum and whatnot, I'll throw a drain in. Then I've got a video like that will come.
Now, Ian, have you seen these new drains? I don't know who has them, but you put them in, you just kind of hold the tabs.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't. I heard about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
It's just a soft material. I like this method. As you see there, I seed it in there. See that putty you got in there? There's no way glue can get around underneath. Because the first horse I did out in California, I put in a drain without. We used to use die-cal back then. The dentist used just to block it off. And I put the drain in, no die-cal. And sure enough, the glue went right around in behind the drain and sealed it up. And, you know, 2 weeks later, it blows a big abscess. And when I took it apart, that's when I realized what had happened. And that's the last time. I didn't use die-cal, I only switched to this putty.
What kind of putty is that?
Well, that's, anymore I just use the chapstick. Anything, it's just solid or stick. All you want to do is see it and sit something. And you've got enough on there that the glue can't get any time. And then when it sets up, just pull it out. You'll see that's coming here. Now here we're going to cut one out. This is just a video of cutting one out. This will be online. This will be on Tender Solution. This is a little intro that goes in. I got to reload all these videos, and somehow the audio and the video actually died. This will be in there, let us know. Just loading the foot, watch how much that crack was. He's 3/4. You cannot 3/4 standard goods. You'll see here, all I do is pop the other knee so he loads it. You can see how the cracks are so long. So I'm just walking down on it. Shed roll would be enough to keep that in. This is why I don't understand this whole new thing of you don't need laces. It just makes no sense at all. Why would you not stabilize something? He didn't have enough heel for me to lace into, so all I'm doing is building a little wall behind.
Pretty quick.
So I'll take, this stand up a little bit. So all I want to do is put in a little bit of glue in the heel so I got something to lace into. Don't use fast set for this. You have to use slow set because it's a firmer glue. Fast set's just too spongy. It just feels terrible. This stuff was set up just like a horse's hoof. Now I put in a piece of that butyl tape, which now I'm going to take out, which sits right over this crack. Sorry about the lighting. So basically, you're going to take out the butyl tape, and I'll be back down to the cracks exposed so they can treat it. I'm not looking to patch this thing today. I just want to stay.
So you're going to put that glue on?
I did put that on there so I can place it. Stop that crack from opening.
No fiberglass in the glue?
No, you don't need it for this. Once again, you can see how much movement there is. Well, I mean, that's a lot of movement. So all I want to do is stabilize this thing. So you can train them, they go and jog them, trainers happy. That's all they want. They can do a little light work, get them out of stall. Now you could pull the shoes, that'll stop most of the movement and keep them installed. But should be probably a good week before it feels safe as that. These bits are matched up to the wire, they're just slightly bigger. Just once I get them in place, I tug in them wires to seat that clip. You gotta have those clips that'll pull the wire right through that glue. So now it's feels. If you tighten them up too much, it'll let you know. But you'll keep tightening, and then, you know, if there's a little more room, give them another half twist. And when you've got them snug pretty good, you see there's a slight amount of movement there, but that's fine. From what it was, and now you leave it open, they'll just paint it. And now you can see when you load it, there's no movement. Then he's been on, you see how he stepped on the, you can see how he stepped on that clip, and that's what happens, he'll step on it, peel them off. So now there's minimal movement. I'm going to take these wires out, clean up my holes, clean up that whole area, reset everything, patch it.
Was there a period of time you wanted to wait, or was that just?
Well,
occasionally get back this one?
No, I'm in Belmont, 2-3 times a week, so the more I stretch it out, as long as they're happy moving forward, I want them dead down, no heat, and when that's going on, we're ready. And there'll be no sensitivity when you tell me that I'm over top of the crack. And you'll see this thing cleans up very well coming back. You're just trying to skim off that thrush buster, healthy tissue, so it just bonds perfectly. You can chase it. I mean, that crack up top, obviously, thrush buster will, any kind of bacteria that's going to kill it. So you don't have to chase it so far that there's no speck anything, because you get back into the soft tissue, and then you slow down. So you can see how it runs a little deeper still up in here. I'm not going to chase that. I really don't need to. Now, if there's serum coming out of there, that's when you might want to drain it.
Well, so there's a crack like that, you don't put a drain.
I don't need to, because he's been laced, foot's cold, he's
What
down.
would be the drawback with putting?
Well, there would be, but you can get dirt down in there. There's a good chance they'll never flush it out. Then you just see that crack. At this point, you just watch that crack close right back up. And now you come back you got your fiberglass in with the glue. I don't use the Spectre cloth because it's a bit of a pain for cleaning them up. I don't have cracks that split, so I'm not sure what sounds good, that's for sure, but I think it's overkill.
Then are you gonna leave this 3/4 shoe on there?
You don't really need to. He'll certainly be fine that way. He's a thoroughbred and a nice deep track. If he's a standardbred, that shoe would have been off a long time ago. I put
It'll
on
never come home.
It'd never be on. First one I saw in Detroit, the guy had a 3/4 shoe, and that cornet thing just dropped, and that thing was just destroyed. And it, unfortunately, it hindered me in the thoroughbred game because I was so against 3/4. And then I ran into a horse that I used to patch a lot. Bobby Frankel had him. And he said, oh, you got to look at a horse and talk to crack. And I said, well, how long you had this horse? And he had him now for 6 months. I said, many cracks? He said, no, first one. I said, really? And he said, oh, yeah, I keep 3/4. And he did not talk to him. There's just one, I mean, he used to have 2 or 3 of them going on at a time. But that 3/4 just stops that, the pressure. And there he is. You put on whatever kind of shoe you want. Let me back this thing up because let's see what's happening. I'm going to cut this one over with a grinder. This is just a typical quarter track. You cut out with a grinder. You can cut these out with a knife with a lot more control with a die grinder, a sharp die grinder. Obviously, you could use a sanding disc. You've got all kinds of problems on that. And I'll cut most of them out on a stand because when you sit on your knee or something, they ever stab your foot, you can get out of it. They're on a stand, you'll try and pull it back, you feel them, but when they just stab them, a sharp grinder does a lot of damage to it. A little bit of movement, you can see that have a whole lot of support down here under his heel. Now you can see a little bit of live tissue, so there's no way I'll be patching this thing. But now we're going to lace them, pretty sure. This is just a typical quarter crack. Same thing, drilling holes. You'll set your drill back maybe 5/8 of an inch, and just know your angles. You're just trying to slide that drill in there. You might want to practice on a piece of hardwood or something. These are thin walled horses and you can stick them quick. And if you do, if there's blood coming out of them holes, do not be patching. Same thing, you're pulling your wires, just snug them up. You want just to seat those things in. If you start twisting with them way back, you just got a mess. So once that clip's seated in, then you'll start.
You like to start tightening the lower one first?
That's a good question. Yeah, usually, because I'm watching the up top is the final spot.
You do stick them, what do you put in there? Something in there?
Yeah, just same thing, a little bit of fresh roasting. I took a shot with one. Yeah, if you're a little nervous about the thickness of the walls, you make wall.
Yeah,
Then you don't worry about it. Yeah, don't be taking chances. Your first year. This will be putting in a drain. I was down at Fair Hill. And it was, I needed a video for a drain. He wasn't that bad. You can see there's a lot of movement. So he's already been laced, ready to go. And I'm going to throw a drain. You can see how you put that little bit of gouge stick or whatever on there. You shape your drain, reshape your drain so it sits in there where you want it, then put your stuff on. With these now I put tape up on the cornet band because there's going to be glue up there and I want to restrict it out of the hair. And I got to tape that tube down up top to keep it in place. Now these ones will definitely lace the bottom first, just to pin that tube down, and then I'll tape them up top. Generally. Now the difference with this, you're going to feel now, because now you can't see your crack. Your crack's covered up, so it's all feel. And it's, when you do enough of them.
What kind of tube is that?
Oh, sit there. That's a, give me a second. Teflon. Any other tube will disintegrate. If you use a ringer tube, you know, they give jugs with, that's what we used to use all the time. That glue, you pull it, it just pulls out. These things will slide, you can use them 100 times.
You just slide out, so you
And we've got tons of that in the shop, so it's not that you're going to find anywhere. We ordered a big, couple hundred feet of it.
I don't do many cracks, but you gave me one friend that we 18 years ago. So, and that's it's still perfect, fine.
Now you can watch that heel a little bit, and you're going to see a little movement. I don't know if I'll test this. Usually I'll push with my thumbs and see if I see any movement. You know, you do it, and it's almost on, you're on automatic when you do this stuff. Back in the heyday of the Meadowlands, 16 barns, 125 horses in each section.
You're like at the 15, 1800 horses?
Yeah. I would be looking at 20 horses a day.
What rule?
Meadowlands, really good. It's unbelievable. That you wouldn't hatch 20 a day, but you're in the cycle. But we've probably done 10,000 of these. But I've been at it since 1980. That's what, somebody says that lacing them is detrimental. It's bizarre. I would have figured that out, 9,000 ago.
It works.
I just don't understand. And I see people, I saw one down in Wellington, he's got a crack, we can't lace him. They covered up, he was fine for that week, next week they're going into, you know how that happens, you're going now for the big dough, and this thing happens. It's crazy.
I mean, able to get the lace through wall versus having to wheel it.
Oh, it's the vast majority.
You have to go right through. Yeah.
But, I'm pretty game. They don't have to be that thick. I know where my comfort zone is. And depending what you're, if it's a big I'm not going to take any chances. Sure. But most of them horses are already laced. So I don't have to go in and drill 2 holes. He's already been laced. You know, they're heading for a big race. I've already stabilized it. He's doing perfect. I know it. I'm just cleaning up the holes. He's not going to be in trouble. But to take a plunge on one sitting right on the race, I don't think I'd do that. We're back to this horse. Cut him out, dry as a bone, lace him up. You see down here, I used a butyl tape to make like a dam. I want that glue restricted to where the wall should be. I don't want a big gob of glue that gets in under the sole. So I just packed that in there. And then basically, he's done.
I didn't really understand the drain.
The drain?
Oh, the two
Well,
patch over
that I patched over that. I thought there's probably a second part to that. What happens is once that glue sets up, you just grab the drain and slide right out. Slip right out. Now you've got a tunnel that sits right over top of that crack, and they flush it out with peroxide, anything that matters.
Just prevent infection.
Yeah, so there's no way, even if there was a little serum in there, it's got to channel out. Sorry about that.
And you don't put anything on it, you don't put a little grease or anything on it, just pull it right out.
Yeah.
Step on, okay.
Definitely.
Hey, you just grab it with your fingertips. Slide right up.
Is that a hollow too? Is that?
Yeah, well, it's hollow. I've got a wire in there so I can shape it. Holds its shape.
Right.
But then once it's set, you'll grab the wire and the tube and it just slips right out. So now you've got a tunnel that literally follows that crack. So there's no chance. We're getting into where problems start. This guy put in a big 4 and he's floated up all the way from here back. And you see a crack up top. Well, you're back, you're losing that support. That's where you're making all the stress on the source. I cleaned it up so you can see there's his yeah, exactly. So he's poured it, but he floated the whole thing. I mean, the thing has grown out that far, but now that you've got no support there, it starts creaking again and just opens them up. So basically, you just put them together. And now, like I said, I'll float them the thickness of a knife blade. I just take my knife, slide it in between the shoe, and that way I know there's nothing on the sole. If I ever have one that gets sore, they say, gee, I think this thing's getting infected, you palpate it, but there isn't, it doesn't feel mushy. I'll say, let me just take the pressure off. And I'll just take that knife between the shoe and the wall, make that gap 1/16 of an inch. 2 days later, the vast majority are right back to the Here's another one. This is, I love it when I see stuff like this because it's just straight and teaching. And you look at it, where you see they've taken the pressure off, but he's got a Mars shoe on. But the next shot tells the whole story. See how he's got no support here? Those window bars are perfect, but you've got to catch this side of the ball and bring it. If you don't, that heel's going to drop, and you're just going to tear them. They'll never come right. So this guy did a beautiful job patching. His problem is he's got absolutely zero support. That ball, there's nothing now. Now you don't even have dirt that can come out and support it because there's a void there. You protected that void, so it's gone. We were looking at flip-flops. I remember Connie, I saw one, they called me in to look at a horse, a sweet horse, and I said, Connie, it's interesting, they got a flip-flop, he split right down the middle, and that whole corner's out. But they trimmed the foot so it sits down in the hole. It's so weird. I said, why wouldn't they just put a regular flip-flop on it? He said, no, you don't understand, he had a pushed-up heel. And when you cut it up, he's got a jammed up heel. Oh, I've got slides of them. And that heel will settle right down in that hole. But they got to be moving. They got to be going the track. If you stand in the stall, they don't move. But when they're in that track, everything, I've used it on thoroughbred. I've got a lot of them. And the one guy raced me, he said, can I race this thing? I mean, to them, it's just so weird, like have a flip-flop. He wasn't, he said he sounds that he's not that much of a horse. But he says, unbelievable how good he got. And that heel drops out. They'll come to a certain spot, if you get really exaggerated, you better be taking an x-ray, because they're gonna hit that sweet spot, and if you keep pushing, they're gonna go the other way. So when you take the x-ray, you go, because, you know, they might still be this much high, but now they're right on the money. And you'll see, you know, how they get, where the bulbs just push right up in there, it's almost like a crease, you'll see them open right up. I've got
That
the,
particular horse, and I mean, we found this,
Yeah.
actually, and then the horse was sold for big money in the sale,
yeah.
and 4 or 5 months later, he broke his skull. Both of us. He got two stars.
So now we're kind of talking about, I love these shoes, I just don't get to use them. And one of the main reasons, because they're hollowed out, I want the frog engaging. And we've gone through the whole thing at this point. These things are done before the pro pad come around. And that's just stepped up the whole thing. This is, actually I've got some over there. This is a glue-on version of the, I don't know if I got it flipped over, but I've got this pad glued on it so I can put in my butyl tape and protect them somewhat. And then we still get my frog pressure. And usually it's one cycle for what I'm doing. If I get one that I can't get right, I could also put a steel strap in. I've got ones where a steel strap will put in and a piece of natural rubber glued on. Just so that sole's not flexing. And you'll go one cycle with that and you get that depth of sole. And then that's off and you're back to just gluing them the way they go. If you need a more firmer setup, these are combi shoes. But you're locking things up a whole lot more. And that's a nail-on version. All this stuff you can nail it. Same thing with the spike plates. I think we've seen most of these pictures. Egg bar, I don't use them, but it's not my world. Mitch, and you see these are the big elites. We use what's interesting is horses are so fascinating with feet. I had a buddy, you guys know Mike Boyle? He's a jumper, like. They send a horse to him as foul, and I mean, he's in trouble, old foul, nothing new. He had shoes glued on, and he just had him on the farm. They wanted him, the owner wanted him there so he could take care of him. So he phoned me. He said, "Hey, we got a problem." He said, "Can you stop by the farm?" Yeah, no problem. Now he was out of ways. He said, "I got a horse, foundered, glued. He was fine. You know, he'd get around, he'd happy, but he took okay." And he says, "When I changed the glue on it, man, he's got bad. And he's worried about this point." So he had a pair of these, and he nailed them on. Just tacked them on with a couple nails, just to get them off the ground. He put 2 on each side, just, you know, got them on. And the next day, he seemed better. So he just kind of waited it out. Well, I got there maybe 2 days later. He said, "What's this?" And he brings his horse out, and he's telling me he's so lame, and he jogs him down the concrete. He said, "This mystified me." He said, "I don't know what the hell is going on. But this horse is taking to these shoes unbelievably." He said, "I don't know if it's a cushion deal." He said, "I don't know what it is." But he says, he couldn't walk. And he says, "I'm not going to glue him, there's no sense." So we just left like that, we both a little bit. Well, it was about 2 days later, he used to go out right by the barn there, you know, they just settle themselves. They get the dirt where they want it, and you just stand there all day. Well, the wife went over and said, "Look at that horse, it's unbelievable." And he's jogging down the shed, down the fence line now. And Mike freaks out because he's only got 2 nails, he's not going to a shoe. So it was interesting, and he got so good that the owner took him back, and you know how it goes. Mike told that blacksmith, "Look, I don't know why, just make sure you keep these shoes on." Well, if he should have said, "The one thing you don't want to do is put these shoes on," and then they might have went out. And he said, a couple months later, they said, "I had been wrong for that horse." It's crazy. Video? Yeah, here we go. I'm going to pause this one. This is a thoroughbred that I glued shoes on, you can see a little bit of rubber left. You won't see it as much on this side, but you can see how much wall we're building in the heel area and where we're bringing them back. I thought I could tell you. Sorry about that. But you're seeing with the butyl tapes come out and you can see where the glue is. I want you to watch where the white line is and you'll see how much hard material is on the sole. It shows up a lot more on the other side. I'm grasping through the pad right now, and I'm going down to the glue, which would be on the foot. So you can see how it's trimmed up, and now when I keep going down to the white line, you can see there's really nothing hard that even touches the sole. You can see how we just thicken his walls, bring the shoe back to support. Again, this shows how much these pads move. There ain't no way feet move that much. I don't think. Have you got any high-speed stuff that shows how much feet open? Or no?
It's not high speed.
Yeah, but you can see it
Yeah.
somewhat. I'd love to have one behind, you know, those Amish horses on the road.
Yeah.
Because it'd be just so perfect. You know, you're right behind them, and you should be able to see how much feet move on concrete.
Obviously, the shoes go or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have did that.
I got a bunch of Amish friends, so they explode.
Oh, yeah. And this here just is for depression. I should probably put the flyers on the bicycle. I won't torture you anymore with that. Once again, just shows how much you're building in the heel area. Oh, here we go. This will be good. We've all seen these. They go back a ways. Got the screws going in the wall.
I just want one on that first.
How's that? I was in, I just came down, you know, I'm a kid, it's 1979, might have been 78, and it was over in Meadowlands. And the guy that, I was down there, I was doing a horse in Yonkers, I came over to the Meadowlands, the guy said, oh, you gotta go see John Campbell. Because they were John was legendary. He was training horses back then, that's how long that was. Anyway, I go and see the assistant. So I want to sell his patch in this horse. He said, oh, no. He told me to come see it. So just when I'm getting ready to leave, this guy's coming in. And I'd heard about him. I knew these patches. I'd seen him in Detroit. And in Detroit, he would fly in. He patched 13 of them in one day. And leave. Now look, I watched my dad. We'd have to dry them all up. You dry them up for some period of time. Well, half of them got infected. It's just a big mess. And that's what got me into New York. We started to clean it up. And those guys all in Michigan, they're always back and forth. It's a circuit they run around. So I'm watching this guy put this patch on. And it just happened. This horse, still today, is the thinnest standard bred horse I've ever seen in the wall. And he's putting these screws in, and this horse is like coming off the standard. He's sticking this thing. So I watched the whole thing, and I'm like dumbfounded. I go over and I see Goodrow, Shelley Goodrow. What do you think? I said, that horse is sounding well. I'm going home. Because that guy knows something I don't know. Anyway, the next day, he's no good. We ended up pulling him up. But anyway, and here we go with those are just the screw ones. You guys ever see these patches? Yeah? This is the way they're all done back in the 80s. Some guys got these, they got the set screw and pull them together. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, this one here, he didn't bother trimming the point on. If you aren't putting that in, it's over. You're sticking them, and that's for sure. So now we go here. Here's one that had those bands on. And you can see where the round spot is. That's where he tapped in. Now, if they're bigger holes, because I use my grinder, I'm just making sure we're at the bottom. But you can see he penetrated this one. He went in a layer deeper and he got in. That's why I kept this. Just chased it out. And that's these here. All right, you see your rivets for the pad. So this thing's riveted down, and then the patch sits in here. What's going on? So he elevates it so you can wrap that fiberglass underneath the wall. See where he's wearing? He ain't wearing on the side of the patch, which means you don't like that side of the foot. You just get it totally off and burn it right off the patch. They will compensate. Most of the horses I glue will walk wide and up there. Last thing they want to hit that ground is the inside. They don't want it, and you know when you're seeing that. And within, usually, I've only had one that's a little different. We were talking about it last night. That horse had an outside quarter crack, but the inside heel was tucked way in. And, you know, it's a jumping horse, and they had the shoe tucked in. And I said, man, I'd love to glue this horse. I think your problem is the inside. And when he had walked, most of them will walk out here. This horse would swing his leg way underneath himself and look to load the outside. It's just a different way of standing on the medial quarter. And he walked like that. I never seen nothing like it. He jogged, same thing, the way in. How they didn't wreck him, I don't know. So anyway, we lace it up, pull the shoes off. What I'll do, I'll take a terry cloth towel, wrap it up tight, put it on the frog, and then wrap it to the foot. So I load the frog up just like a mushroom shoe, and it unloads in quarters. And usually they'll sound up. And this was this summer, so I'm heading up to Saratoga. I said, look, it'll be about 3 days. It should be all day. So I come back slightly better. John Steele was the one involved. And I said to Toby, the guy, he's kind of assistant or whatever, sweet. And I said, want to glue him? He said, look, we're going to look where we're going. Try it. And we glued him, and it took about 2 weeks. Just straight as a string. And it just loved it. They were going to get rid of the horse. I'm still gluing him. Just glued him 2 days ago. Down Florida, around the third. And unfortunately, when I talked to the blacksmith, I said, I think we can help him glue ones. And he said, well, if it works, so you can glue him for the rest of his life. I said, well, I glue him until he's done doing what he's doing. If it helps him, I mean, the woman is absolutely low. What does she care? This woman's off the ground as high because he's as sound as he's ever been. She gets to jumping. You know, the price of going on shoes is nothing. But I don't understand, guys. And when he's seen it, he's never contacted me or said anything. Just he wants to be pissy about it. You know, it just blows my mind how hard-headed someone can be. And I can be like that with my wife when it comes to pilots or something. But you're looking at, you know, you've got to be open to, hey, if it works, there's got to be something to it. Look into it.
Now, but that horse you were there, you said he had an opportunity. Can you go over with people to do it?
Oh, sure.
There and look ready.
Oh, he was there the day we moved. And he didn't want to be there. He had to be there because he was told, make sure you're here. And with the quarter crack, I said, you know, I mean, I'd palpate the quarter crack and this horse isn't sore. On the crack, I said, it ain't the crack. It's going to be that inside here. You know, and he said, you can't fix that. I hate to even say it. He said, that's the way his leg comes out of the shoulder. You're not going to fix it. That's it. And that's where it was. And now this horse is awesome. I love working on it. Love problem horses. Yeah. think.
You just glued it on with this regular shoe?
You know what I went with, what he was the best in was a racing plate, Kurt Hart racing plate,
Oh, yeah.
size 8. Because it's a smaller web,
Yeah.
but it's not as thick of a shoe when your frog comes back in.
Yeah.
His feet are really messed up. Like, we're finally getting them, what I call balanced. When I stand in front of them and go, wow, we got him. But it's taken like 3-4 shillings. And but sounds. They're happy. They want to do. We're going to unload them. I don't know what happened then.
Yeah.
And when you take the glue up, it's not pretty. I mean, it is not good. So,
So you put gas for it?
yeah, he's got to shoot it back in. Shoot that some help. I'm going to grab those ones with the flip flops. Just. That's what I'm talking about. With the cut. You could probably even move it forward a little farther back, Connie. You get the drop.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I'll get some pictures of.
And that's just one of them ways to
What you
get it going.
Yeah.
So they can.
You can see where that bulb is. I don't know how that's showing up on your screen.
Where is that?
Huh? Both front quarters are like that. Jammed up. And this horse, stand head back to stall. When he was right.
But is that a standard right?
Oh no, it's over.
Oh.
These nice horse just terrible. Huh?
Just cut the ones out.
You just want to, and then, like I said, they got to be doing the track. If they're standing still, they won't move. But you can see how it's just so jammed up, they get hooked in there. When they open up, you'll literally see cracks in there. You start treating issue. That's how much they'll move.
Well, that's a long time it takes for something like that to develop.
You know, that's a different well.
You would think so.
So there he is. There's the best pictures. Well, you can see how they settled down in there somewhat. See how it's dropped down in the hole? Yeah. Like my screens are funny. But they'll move so far. Don't think you're going to take them all the way. At that point, you might want to be x-raying to see where you're coming from. We had a real good jumping horse and turned him right around. And we kept pressing. Oh yeah. And then he went the wrong way. I went around, you know, I wasn't doing it anymore. The blacksmith was, and Carol said, man, that horse is good. One of them said, you know, I'm going to get the bed taken extra one. We got too far. And they brought it back and the big one here. But we just found the sweet spot.
But that's why, like I said before, we got to work from Mark Silva, I think.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, we put the flip-flops on like that, so we got better and better, and he still wasn't the balance. But then they sold it, and they continued on with the same, and not taking x-rays, and they improved.
this might even be I think we probably got them up on a block from the vet x-ray. I'm sure that's what's going on. I think these might be better pictures for you. You can see I had the patch on, you can see the clip. He's always about to crack. Oh yeah, he's one of the worst. But this is where I'm talking about, you get those seams will open up. Once it drops, that thing will, that fold will open up. This would be the worst. So, well, now you see where it dropped down in. You see now how it's dropped down the somewhat. The one that I sell the Swede at, he drops right down flush with the bottom. That's how much that thing moves. But it's a standard bred with a track that's unforgiving, so it can move. You know, you're on a thoroughbred track, it's all sand giving you pressure coming the other way, so it's really an interesting deal. Anyway, guys, any questions? Any comments? I can't learn anything if there's any critiques and you say, you know what, I've had more luck. That's how we all learn. And I've learned lots and guys say, you know, I don't know if you should try such and such. You're always moving in different directions. Oh yeah. So.